Tonight is going to be intro to dream work for self-care and personal development. You see my little sheet in the background because it's hot, so the sun. So let me get everything set up like I normally do. I'm going to go live over here on Instagram as well. We're going to see if this is going to work today. So I'm pulling up my notes. I'm going to hop in here on the on here as well. Okay, we're in. Gonna bring my notes up. Oh, it didn't even go live. Oh, it's not letting me. Well, I guess we're not going live on Instagram. We'll work it out next time. So I have been slowly inching everyone towards dream work for maybe the past week or 2 weeks. And we already did a session in Sacred Sunday Space, basically giving you the practices. But tonight, I'm going to actually be teaching you a lot of information. And we're going to cover the intro, the basics, but it's still going to be quite a lot because dream work is very much a very general word. It's not very specific, so that means different things to different people. So as always, I'm going to go ahead and start with housekeeping. I'm going to drop the resources that I have for you in the comment section. So housekeeping number 1, as always, is going to be interaction as I'm going through the content and the information. If you have any questions, comments, experiences, please drop those in the chat section. That can add to the conversation, that can expand the information that we are going through, as well as some of the material is quite complex. So if I say something that is confusing, I want to make sure that you're getting what you're coming here for. So the second thing is going to be, well, it was going to be, I was going live on Instagram, but we're going to just be here on YouTube. If you do see this, go ahead and give the video a like. That is going to help me expand my reach and do a little bit more. Just like you want to grow, I want to grow. And it is the perfect way for you to support me without paying a dime. So please go ahead and give this video a like. So I have some resources for us. The first thing that I'm dropping is going to be your free dream work practice guide. It's going to have information in there on many of the key practices that we're going through, as well as links to guided practices. So it's going to have information on how to improve your dream recall, tutorials on how to, my favorite methods for dream journaling, as well as a guided meditation, mindfulness of breathing using the Theravada method. We're going to talk a little bit about that and why you should pay attention to that and want to cultivate that. But it's that free guide. You don't have, it's fine. So the free guide is there for you. Also, over the next 4 months, we're going to be working from the lucid dreaming and dream work workbook. So I'm going to drop that in the caption section. Oh, that would be nice. I appreciate it. So it is $22.22. It's actually going to come with, I put up a 3. It's actually going to come with 2 workbooks. The Intro to Dream Work workbook, which is going to be a guide showing you, and it's quite lengthy, going to be showing you how to, give me just a moment, my friend Brittany is here, and she is helping me out so I can get in here on Instagram. With my long password. This is my password. Oh, it worked. And we're just gonna, oh, you got the, I saw the battery. So Hey Erica, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm just getting things set up. You want to make sure that you have a pen and paper because we're going to go through quite a lot of information today and you will want to take notes. Okay, hey, we're going over here. We are rolling, we are rolling. So I'm live over here on Instagram as well. So I'm getting that set up. My friend Brittany is helping me set that up. So on Instagram, this workshop will be available for replay for 24 hours. After that, I am going to take it down. But if you want to hop in here, over here on YouTube, then you're going to be able to have links to all of the resources that I have for you. Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to lower this. All of the resources that I have for you. And I'll be mostly paying attention to the chat over there. But you already know I am good about being multiple places at one time. So, but let's keep it rolling. So in the comment section, I have the free dream work guide for you. It's going to contain those key practices as well as supporting elements, videos and tutorials to teach you how to improve your dream recall through dream journaling, mindfulness meditation practice that's going to help you maintain awareness in the dream state, whether you're trying to become lucid or not. That's going to be very important because clearly if you can't remember your dreams, then doing dream work is going to be a tad difficult for you. And as well as other key practices. The second thing that I have for you was the Dream Work and Lucid Dreaming Workbook. It actually contains 2 of those. Probably for the first 2 months, we're only going to be working through the first one because once again, it is quite a lot of information. And for you to get to those next level practices, you really want to have the fundamentals down. Otherwise, once again, you're not going to even be able to maintain awareness in any of these states of consciousness that we're going to be exploring. And if you feel like you don't know if you want to make that $22 investment, even though that's not that much, you can grab the chapter 1 for free right here. Gonna go ahead and drop that for you because I care about y'all and I care about your $20. I want to make sure that you know that you're spending these $20 wisely. So if you want to go ahead and grab the chapter 1 of the workbook for the free $99, it's there for you. And then a way to dive deeper into what we're doing, in my workshops online, I do give you all of that good information. I'm not going to water anything down, but of course, what we talk about involves practices and things that you're actually doing to, support these new skills in your life. So if you would like to practice with me, I have Sacred Sunday Space and the Dark Art series. If you're over here on Instagram, if you tap the link in my bio, you'll be able to find the schedule. And if you're over here on YouTube, the link that I just dropped is going to take you to the schedule for all of the practices that we are doing this month. So you have all of those things there for you. Let me see, I'm going to go ahead and just check the time, 8:14, and we're going to go ahead and jump into the main content. If you do have the workbook, if you have gotten that, then go ahead and pull that up because we are, once again, that's what I'm going to be working from. Let me pull mine up. I thought I had it pulled up. We're going to go through three main sections of content today. So first, we're going to talk about what is dream work. Then we're going to talk about different types of dreams and then the preliminary skills that you want to go ahead and develop. I'm like, where's my workbook? I'm talking to y'all about the workbook. Okay, so what is dream work? Go ahead and turn to page 1 in the workbook and let's quickly talk about the Temple of Asclepius. Hey, Sun Goddess, how are you doing? I'm not sure who's over here on YouTube, but I am paying attention. So if you drop me, hey. And Sun Goddess, if you come over here on YouTube, then I'll be able to keep track of things a little bit more. And I'm dropping links for all of the free resources in the chat section. So go ahead and pull up page number 1. Let's talk about the Temple of Asclepius. A lot of people don't know that this is a bit of where our modern medicine system comes from. So Asclepius is the Greek god of medicine, and they would have these temples that you would go to. And when you would go there, they would give you like a sort of drink that would make you kind of woozy. and they would put you to sleep in a chamber full of snakes and all types of things. And then the next day you would tell the priest your dream. He would interpret your dream and give you medicine or a treatment based upon your dream. So the room was called an abaton. Hey, is it Mashu? Did you change your name? It's kind of far away, and I think it says you Mashad. Maybe you changed your name in your picture. Rebranding, is that what's going on? So it is a sort of dream therapy. So once again, what is dream work? We're talking about intro to dream work for self-care and personal development this evening. Go ahead and grab your notes. Grab a pen and some paper. You're going to want to take notes. So dream work means different things for different people. There are even different types of dreams. Some people are just familiar with non-lucid dreams. Some people have even heard of lucid dreams and they're very, very familiar with it. But these are mainly the types of dreams that we focus on, but they're not the only types of dreams. You also have liminal dreams. So the word liminal comes from the root liminus, meaning on the edge or border. So these are states of consciousness in between states. So there are two different ones. The first one is called the hypnagogic state. Hypnos meaning sleep, agogos meaning leading into. So this is an in-between stage, a liminal state of consciousness in between waking and sleeping. It does have a bit of different characteristics than the REM stage sleep that you're typically used to if you're focusing on non-lucid dreams or lucid dreams. You also have the hypnopompic state, which is another type of liminal state, and this is going to be on the other end. So this is when you're waking up. Both of these states have very much a hallucinogenic component to them. They are very emotionally and mentally responsive. So this is why when you were younger, when you would go to sleep and you were a little bit afraid, over in the corner you might see a pile of clothes, but in the dark it looks like a monster, or you hear things tapping under your bed, or you feel things pulling at your feet. And then, you tell your parents about it and they tell you, oh, it's just a dream. But in these in-between states, the things that you're feeling and the things that you're thinking, because you're getting a bit of the waking state and the dreaming state, they blend together and you can have auditory hallucinations, visual hallucinations. The hypnagogic state, a lot of people, oh my God, I experience this now. Everybody experiences all of these. So all of these are well within the normal range of states of consciousness. So none of these states are anything extraordinary. Even the lucid dream state. Some people have difficulty understanding lucid dreams or think that they can, but it's a completely natural phenomenon. So this is one reason why anybody can learn these practices. These practices are here for everyone. You have a brain, you have a mind. Your mind naturally does all of these things. You don't have to do anything to make it happen, but you do have to practice in order to maintain awareness and understand what's going on. The same thing is when you have non-lucid dreams. It's a dream of ignorance. You're having the experience, but you don't know what's actually going on. You're completely lost. You're somewhere else. Hey. Somebody else coming here. Hey, Jim. Welcome. I am over here on Instagram, but I'm actually watching over here on YouTube. So I'll be seeing most of the questions over here on YouTube. I'm dropping the links to the free resources in the chat section. So feel free to watch over here, but you might want to go ahead and jump over here. So there are different types of dreams. You also hear me talking recently for a long time about yoga Nidra, or the Nidra state. This is when you're able to consciously access that deep delta brainwave sleep. You also enter this delta brainwave state during the lowest stage of sleep, which is characterized as dreamless sleep. So once again, different states of consciousness, different states of mind, and there are different practices that you can do in all of these different stages to, have various effects on your body-mind system. But once again, it does take some work in order to maintain awareness and to be able to enter into these states at will, to be able to control and manipulate what's going on. So for example, in the hypnagogic state, a lot of artists and inventors and creators use this state of consciousness to develop creative ideas. So if you've heard of Salvador Dali, he would take naps back in a chair with a metal plate underneath him, and he would hold his hand up with some keys in his hand and kind of allow himself to drift off to sleep. So he's allowing himself to drift into the sleeping, dreaming state, but he doesn't want to go so far that he actually falls asleep. He wants to actually hover in this hypnagogic zone. So what he does is he maintains awareness there, but when he falls too far in, his hand will drop, the keys will drop, and it will clink onto the metal plate below, and it'll wake him up, bringing him back up, rousing his awareness. So with enough practice, you could allow yourself to relax into the hypnagogic state, do something to stimulate your mind, ask a question. Once again, this state is very emotionally and mentally responsive, and you could watch what happens in your mind. So you'll notice that a lot of his paintings are very dreamy, they're very weird, they're very psychedelic in a way. This is probably very much characterized by the state of consciousness that he would use to access and, come up with these ideas. Hello, Sandra. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see you made it over here. If you look in the caption section or the comment section, you're going to find all of the resources. There's a free dream work guide that's going to contain practices and activities that we're going to be talking about this evening. You have the dream work workbook. It actually contains 2 of them. It's $22.22. We're going to be working through that over the next 4 months. We're using the first one today. We're going to be working from that for maybe the first 2 months. And if you feel like you're not sure about the investment, you're not sure about that content and information, I dropped a link where you can grab chapter 1 for the free 99. And that's where we are right now. So for everyone who's watching this, there really is no reason why you shouldn't have that chapter 1. There really is no reason why you shouldn't have that dream work practice guide, because you're here right now. We're 17 minutes in, so I'm assuming you're paying attention because you want that information. So go ahead and grab the free resources so you can actually support yourself in what you're doing. This work is kind of a bit complicated, and you want to have that, information. Hello, Intentional Debt. Hello, Prep Texas. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So go ahead and turn to page 2. We talked about the Temple of Asclepius. We talked a little bit about different types of dreams. I want to ask a question though, for the people who are watching live. For you, what do you think of when you hear the word dream work? What does that mean to you? What do you think you would be doing that for? How do you think that you would be doing it? Maybe you already practice dream work. Maybe you're already someone who's very into lucid dreaming. So go ahead and drop a little bit about your experiences. I want to read the energy in the room and see what we got going on here. So if you turn to page 2, at the bottom, it says the nature of dreams and dreaming. So dreams and dreaming have many functions. I'm just going to read a little bit from the workbook. Dreams and dreaming have many functions. When we are dreaming, the brain is integrating short-term memory and experiences into long-term memory and experiences. Dreaming also allows the mind to practice certain experiences to learn how to function or correct habits and behaviors. When we're dreaming, our inhibitions are lowered. In the dream state, you're more likely to act out repressed desires and wishes. So when you pay attention to your dreams, you can see what material and experiences you are repressing and obsessing about. You can also find out what experiences are important to you. In this way, you can use your dreams to do personal development and even shadow work. I'm seeing some of those captions. I'm seeing some of the comments come up. I'm going to finish reading this section, then I'm going to look at the comments and give you all some feedback. In this way, you can use your dreams to do personal development and shadow work. The shadow becomes unbound in the dream state and reveals psychic material. So, once again, the dreaming state is characterized by the unconscious mind. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on. And typically, we associate the waking state with the egoic mind. So, there are different purposes of dreaming. There are different purposes that the mind uses this for. Jung actually thought that dreams didn't have much of a purpose at all except for to occupy the mind while you were sleeping. Otherwise, the mind would become distracted by things that are going on outside of you and wake up. And so your brain needs sleep, your brain needs rest. And so he thought that dreams were a way of the mind making sure that that happens. But other than that, they had no real purpose. And then it wasn't until Freud, that he has his book on dream interpretation and Freudian analysis and all of that good stuff. So dreams have a variety of purposes, and that is why we can use them in dream work for a variety of reasons. Your dreams allow you to see what your mind is occupied with. It allows you to see what you're ignoring, the things that you're repressing. So those are things that you want to work on. And actually, I think somebody dropped a question and it relates directly to this. Let me come over here. I have nightmares of me and my mom fighting all the time. Funny thing is, we're no longer in that toxic space. How do I stop that? So once again, the dream is the unconscious mind, not the conscious mind. So it's showing you things that you're not aware of. So you say we're no longer in that toxic space. It's maybe not talking about you being in that toxic space. It's not going to be telling you something that you are aware of. You would want to go through a process of investigation, of correlation. We're going to talk about this a little bit later on. It kind of gets very deep, but this is just a prime example. This is one of the things that you can use dream work for. If you want to investigate your relationship with your mom, maybe it's not your mom, maybe your mom represents something, because dreams speak to us in symbols and images. So just because you're dreaming about your mom does not mean that it's about your mom. You want to go through a process of self-exploration and what I'm going to call ritualization, which means taking content from your dreams, valuing and respecting what the dream is telling you to a point where you create certain goals and act certain things out in real life to affect the change that your mind is wanting, because unconscious material comes to the surface because it's seeking integration. When you repress something into the shadow aspect of the psyche, into the shadow aspect of the mind, that does not mean that it went away, but that's how we relate to it. We think that it went away. It's not gone. It's actually just controlling you from behind the scenes, kind of like the Wizard of Oz. You think that it's this big man in the sky, that it's this big thing, but when you pull the curtain back, it's this little thing that you have been ignoring and suppressing and repressing for a very long time that you could have dealt with a long time ago in the waking state. But because you have put those blocks on there, the mind is like, okay, well, I'm just going to present the information in the dream state where the mind's inhibitions are lowered, and I will also transfigure the images. I will manipulate the images of what is being seen so that the person even more so doesn't push it away. So once again, that would be, something that you would want to go through your process of self-exploration. And we're going to dive really much into that. So I would suggest go ahead and grabbing that Intro to Dream Work workbook. I put it in the caption section for you. It's going to have all of the exercises, activities, and things that we're going to be talking about over the next 4 months, including tons and tons of information on dream interpretation. So if you wanted to actually, begin interpreting your dreams before we get there, go ahead and grab the workbook and skip straight to that section. So just reading through my notes. Okay, purposes. We went that's on page 2. Let's see. Continue scrolling down. Let's talk about some of the benefits. Exploring thoughts and beliefs from the unconscious mind, discovering your deep desires, fears, neuroses, obsessions, unconscious habits. So this is what a lot of people do refer to as shadow work. So you can see dream work has very deep application for that. Creating a relationship between the waking mind and the unconscious mind in order to create a bi-directional process for transformation. So in the it's a lot of mosquitoes out here, y'all. A lot of bugs, a lot of mosquitoes. I'm pretty sure y'all can hear it in the background. I mean, they are out here chewing us up. So, but we're creating this bi-directional process. So typically, hello, Maria. I can't see the screen that closely over here. I am over here on YouTube. So if you jump over here onto YouTube, I'll be able to see your comments a lot more clearly. And I also have dropped some resources for you in the caption section. But you can stay over here on Instagram if you like. Over here on Instagram, the workshops are going to be available for replay for 24 hours, and I'm going to take it down. But the permanent version is going to be right over here. So we're creating this bi-directional process when we begin to engage in dream work. Now, in the beginning, you're going to just mainly be paying attention to your dreams and then creating goals in the waking state and engaging with those goals and those new things in the waking state. A lot of people want to practice lucid dreaming, and that is where you're going to begin going the other direction. If you want, you could create certain goals in the waking state, become lucid in the dream state, and lucidity means you're aware of that you're dreaming while you're dreaming. Some people think that a lucid dream is a very vivid dream. That's very incorrect. You can have a very vivid non-lucid dream. You can also have a lucid dream that's not very vivid at all. So the vividness or the clarity or how lifelike the dream seems has no relation on whether you're lucid or not. If you're not realizing that you're dreaming in the middle of that dream, you're not lucid. If you have a scary dream and you're like, after you wake up, you're like, oh my gosh, woo, I woke up, it was a dream, I was so scared. It doesn't matter how lifelike that dream was, that was not a lucid dream, because you wouldn't have been that scared, because you would know that you're dreaming in the middle of the dream while it was happening, so there would be no need for you to be scared. But there are different levels of lucidity, so that is I'm speaking from a very general sense, but hopefully you can understand what I mean from a broader perspective. Lucid dreaming is having waking state consciousness inside of the dream state. So when you begin to have goals that you want to take from the waking state and enact them in the dream state, that also allows you to create deep change within your mind, because once again, the dream state is where the unconscious mind roams, and the unconscious mind really dictates a lot of our habits and our behaviors, your patterns. So if there's something going on in your waking state, you can absolutely use lucid dreaming and dream work as a way to create permanent, lasting, positive change in your waking state. So once again, you can create this bi-directional process, not just going from the dream state to the waking state, but going from the waking state to the dream state as well. And there are different types of dream work. So, but let me pause really quickly and ask, does anybody have any questions? Does everything that I'm saying make sense so far? If it does make sense, go ahead and drop me a number 8 in the comment section. If you turn an 8 sideways, that's the number of harmony. So that means that you're picking up what I'm putting down, you're smelling what I'm stepping in. But if you cannot drop me a number 8, go ahead and drop me your question in the caption section or the comment section so that I can answer that. I just want to make sure that we're clear thus far. If not, I'm going to keep on rolling. I should have brought some water out here. No, water or a drink or something. I'm talking a lot. Okay, I don't see any questions so far, so we're going to keep it moving. I'm assuming that you're understanding, so if you're not, stop me along the way. I'm going to just keep on rolling. So we have The liminal states, the hypnagogic state, and the hypnopompic state, you can absolutely do work within those areas. They are very creative, very imaginative. So perhaps you're trying to come up with a new idea for a new project. Sometimes maybe you have a problem in life and you want to find a new creative solution, something that you haven't thought of in the waking conscious state. So you're like, oh, okay, ooh, let me dive a little deeper and figure out a way to generate more information and more material. You might want to use the hypnagogic or hypnopompic or liminal states for that. You have the lucid dreaming state, maybe if you want to create lasting change in your life, undo certain blockages, do a lot of that shadow work, you can use the lucid dreaming state. But you can also, once again, you don't even have to go that far. If you want to just work with your non-lucid dreams, you can do that as well. If you dive deeper into lucid dreaming, you eventually get to dream yoga, which is more of a spiritual practice for lucid dreaming. And the purpose in dream yoga is to seek liberation or enlightenment. So what you're doing, yoga comes from the word yog, meaning to yoke or to stretch. Goodbye, my dog. Goodbye. Meaning to yoke or to stretch. So dream yoga, what we're doing is we're stretching waking state consciousness into the dream state for the specific purpose of, once again, spiritual high level transformation. There are different levels of dream yoga. So for example, level 1 typically is flying. So when you learn how to fly in the lucid dream state, let me think, making yourself bigger or smaller, making other items bigger or smaller, the ability to walk through walls. So how would you think that this would change you? Well, once again, if you're predominantly operating from the waking state consciousness, then your mind has these deeply ingrained habits. The dream state can show you how static, how stuck, how inflexible you are. You're going to have to be very flexible in order to get it in your mind that you can actually walk through the wall. Otherwise, when you try to walk through the wall, you're going to have the same experience that you would expect in the waking state because you think that there's something there. So by learning how to walk through walls, we're learning how to release the inhibitions that we have on our mind. We're learning how to develop this capacity of mental flexibility. Hopefully that makes sense. We also have sleep yoga. So sleep yoga is taking it a bit deeper, taking it a bit further. So you're able to stretch consciousness, your waking state consciousness, beyond the dreaming state into the dreamless sleep state. So typically a place where people just experience that blackout, they're not experiencing anything at all. You can have consciousness in those states, and this is the practice of sleep yoga. Then you also have Bardo Yoga. Bardo is a Tibetan word for gap. So this is going to be any type of gap. We're actually in a Bardo now. This is the Bardo of living is between, somebody's calling you. The Bardo of living is in between being birthed and dying. But Bardo Yoga is typically used to prepare for death and the experiences beyond death in a very spiritual way. So dream work can get you, into that area as well if you are interested in going very, very far down the rabbit hole. And once again, I'm flying through the information, y'all. If anyone has any questions, drop those. If everything I'm saying makes sense, go ahead and drop me a number 8 just to give me a little bit of feedback. It's looking a little dry. The captions and the comments are looking a little dry, so I'm not sure if you all are understanding or if you're not understanding. I want to make sure that if you are here and if you're paying attention that you're actually getting the information that you came here for. So, oh, they calling again. You Miss Popular. So let's talk about wake centricity, okay? So we live in a society that is predominated by wake centricity. The waking state is the state of the egoic mind, so it's only natural that many people operate primarily from this egoic perspective, and that is in the waking state. Clearly, we have difficulty, stretching that into the dream state. That's why some people are having difficulty becoming lucid, or they want to become lucid. But wake centricity, actually what it does is it teaches us to devalue the dream state, or to feel like the dream state is less real than what it is. This term, wake centricity, was actually coined by Andrew Holacek. And you should definitely check out a lot of his work and a lot of his books if you're interested in dream work and lucid dreaming. Okay, thank you, Intentional Debt, for the 8. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So I actually have his book, and you all know that I love resources, so I'm going to hold it up. I'm going to put it over here first on YouTube, so you can go ahead and take a screenshot of this. You might want to grab this. Now, this is a more advanced practice, and it goes past lucid dreaming, so you may want to start with the other book, Dream Yoga. But this book definitely explains a lot about wake centricity. I'm going to read just a little bit from it, from his, not the prologue, the beginning part is skipping my mind, the premise. But the sinister discrimination I want to point out now is our extreme bias for waking consciousness and the limited reality it perceives. In other words, we're all afflicted with an acute wake centricity prejudice. And like all closed-mindedness, wake centricity is highly restricting, a total eclipse of the mind. It reduces the mind and reality to what we perceive during the day. Wake centricity leaves out 2 other states of consciousness, or 2/3 of reality, and therefore a more complete understanding of mind and reality. The other 2 states, of course, are what we perceive in sleep and dream. So basically what we're getting at is that when you have a mind that is very wake-centric, you're not going to get a total perspective of reality, because your mind is literally ignoring 2 other states. It's ignoring everything that happens in the dream state, or it's devaluing that. It's ignoring all of the conscious experiences and the possibilities that you could have in the dreamless sleep state, because you view the waking state as the main state, or as a reality. In fact, if we think about it from the perspective of the psyche, when we think about, okay, the unconscious mind is very much larger than the conscious mind. The unconscious mind controls most of our habits. We can even see, if we divide, if we have a circle, we divide it into thirds. We have dream, sleep, and waking, where we're literally, dream and sleep encompasses more of your consciousness and more of your reality than the waking state. And even quantum physics tells us this. We in the waking state, even what you see is just a slim bandwidth of what is actually there. Even the spectrum of visible light, that's just a very slim spectrum of all of the light that's there. So if you're only paying attention to this tiny little bit, you're missing a great portion of reality. You think that you're seeing what's really there, and you're not. You think that you're experiencing what's really there, and you're not. There are other cultures that are polycentric or even non-centric, and this means that they place a very deep emphasis on the dream state. So you'll find that these types of cultures, you want to go in? You can go in. You'll find that these types of cultures, maybe they wake up in the morning, they share their dreams over breakfast, or whatever their morning gathering ritual is. Oh, you're fine. And then they enact their day, or take action on their day from what happened in the dream. They use the dream to make certain predictions of how to govern their lives, of when to plant crops, of when to honor their ancestors, of when to do this, of when to do that. So there are cultures that are not wake-centric. There are cultures that put a lot of value into the dream state and into the sleep state, and they operate from a very different perspective. Hey Mary, welcome, welcome, welcome. You can feel free to stay over here on Instagram, but I'm over here on YouTube reading all of the comments and everything, and there are the links to the free resources over here on YouTube as well. So let's continue on. We have about 15 minutes before I'm gonna wind it down, but I think we're making good time. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and drop those in the comment section. If not, once again, I'm gonna keep this thing rolling. So another quote, once again, this is from Andrew Holochek's book, Dreams of Light. The other main reason for our wake-centric favoritism is that wake-centric means egocentric. Ego is only fully operational and online in waking consciousness and loses its footing as it slips and falls into sleep. And you even see that when you close your eyes and you go to sleep, all of the things around you that the ego normally perceives and interacts from, I mean, all of those things fizzle away very, very quickly. All of the phenomena, everything that you see, hear, taste, touch, smell, everything that you perceive is so permanent, solid, real, lasting, right here, now, in this moment. When you go to sleep tonight, it's all going to dissolve and disappear. So it's not going to be that permanent, solid, as lasting as it appears to be. It's what in dream yoga and sleep yoga and Bardo yoga is referred to as illusory experiences, and even experiences in the dream state are illusory. In the dream state, you have a dream body. It feels just as real as this body. In the dream state, you live in a home, or you can eat dream food. You can taste it. You can feel things. You can smell things. It has the same qualities as this state. Although it's said that all phenomena rise and disappear, are born and unborn and collapse from the space of, we're getting quite deep. It's called the alaya vijnana, and this is storehouse consciousness or a base consciousness. This is the reality that's below everything else. This is what's actually there below the dream state, below the sleep state, below the waking state. All of the phenomena that we perceive arise from this state. And as we go between states, they collapse back into those states. They collapse back into that state. Sorry. All of the experiences that we have, all of the phenomena that we perceive in the waking state, dreaming state, and sleeping state rise from that alaya vijnana and collapse back into it. Hopefully that makes sense. Ego therefore appropriates gross waking consciousness as the only way to see things. That's the egoic way, or the seeing things from the waking state consciousness is not the only way to see things, which then colonizes, dominates, and dismisses other subtle states it can't fully experience. And it's explaining it's just a dream. It's just a dream is a very dismissive comment after all. Ego is drunk with daylight, with outward bound waking consciousness. It's a snaky form of white supremacy or a dismissal of all things dark. So very deep dive into wake centricity, but I think it's important because if you are someone who really wants to engage in dream work, you really want to engage in lucid dreaming, it's important that one of the key elements that we're going to talk about is that you begin to shift your perspective away from this wake centric way of thinking. Otherwise, you're going to be devaluing what appears in the dream state. It's not going to serve its purpose of allowing you to, once again, what I call ritualize or create goals or take action and feel like what you're learning and what you're seeing and what you're experiencing is true and is valid and is real and has importance in your life. That's completely different than having a mind and a perspective that's wake-centric and then dismissing everything else as just a dream, as if it isn't real, as if you aren't experiencing it. From a cognitive point of view, from a neurological point of view, the brain cannot tell any difference between the waking state and the dream state. The same neurons that fire in the waking state are the same neurons that fire in the dream state. And that's why it's dream work is such a great way to create lasting change. It is such a great way to accomplish your goals. It is such a great way to explore yourself and to discover, the things that you're ignoring in order to make some shift and some change and to support yourself on whatever it is that you're going through. A lot of people, once again, they very much dismiss the dream world. They dismiss the dream states. But if you're someone who's really interested in metaphysics as well as self-care and personal development, for me, this is my bread and butter. Dream work and lucid dreaming is my personal practice. I teach a lot of other things here on Higher Alignment, but this is my main practice, and this is why I'm so passionate about it. I'm a natural lucid dreamer. I've had thousands of lucid dreams. Whether I want them to happen or not, they happen. And so after a while, I learned how to cultivate it and make it happen when I want to happen, and make it happen for the purposes and the reasons that I want it to happen. Once again, and I use it for self-transformation and personal development. That's what I teach it for. I don't teach it for any other reason. Okay? So go ahead and turn to page 3 in the workbook. We have about 9 minutes left. Go ahead and turn to page 3 in the workbook. So what I want you to do is look at the section on the nuts and bolts. And this is the sleep cycles, okay? So we kind of went through those liminal states, the hypnagogic state, leading into sleep, the hypnopompic state. But scroll down a little bit at the bottom, you're going to see stage 1, NREM or light sleep, stage 2, theta, also light sleep, stage 3 and stages 3 and stages 4 are going to be that delta sleep. So this is going to be that dreamless sleep state. And a lot of people think, thank you. A lot of people think that dreams are happening in that deep state of sleep, but the dream state, the REM state, is actually the lightest state. It's right before you wake up. So if you scroll once again to page 4, go ahead and scroll down to page 4, and I want you to look at that graph or look at that chart that's right there at the top, and you can see you go from the waking state, you drop initially below that REM stage, and you go through your stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Your brain needs that delta brainwave, dreamless sleep in order to heal. This is where the body heals. This is when your skin is repairing itself. This is where your hair is growing. This is where that HGH is released. Tons of hormones and neurotransmitters are being released. So, thank you. If you have questions about dream work, that's what we're talking about here this evening. Thank you so much. So if you have questions about dream work, go ahead and let me know. That's what our focus is here. So I just want to make sure we're, staying on topic. I appreciate it though. So your brain needs this delta deep 3 stage of sleep in order to repair and heal. So once it has sufficiently got that, you'll see that it's gonna, if you pay attention to that yellow part at the top, it pops back up and you have REM stage. And this is where you're experiencing those dreams that we're typically talking about in the non-lucid and lucid stage. And so what I want you to pay attention to is at the beginning of the night, you're having these long stages of delta brainwave sleep. So look at cycles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll see cycle 1, you have more delta brainwave sleep than in cycle 5, because your brain needs to get that deep sleep in the beginning before it will allow itself to have that REM stage of sleep. So you'll notice in cycle 1, you have a lot of deep 3, a little bit of REM. As it goes on, less deep 3, more REM, and it goes on and on. This is something you definitely want to know, because if you are someone who's trying to have lucid dreams, you need to be targeting that REM stage of sleep. You're not going to be having lucid dreams in any other stage of sleep. So when you're beginning your dream work practice, when you're learning how to meditate, when you eventually begin doing your wake back to bed practices, it's going to be very important that you target that golden opportunity. And that golden opportunity is going to be during that REM stage of sleep. Otherwise, you're going to be waking yourself up and you're going to be doing practices and just keeping yourself up for no reason. So we want to be knowledgeable about what's going on and what we need to be doing here, okay? So once again, we're reading from the Intro to Dream Work and Lucid Dreaming workbook. If you want to go ahead and grab that, you're actually getting 2 workbooks for $22.22. If you're over here on Instagram, tap the link in my bio, and I actually don't think it's in there yet, but I'll put it in there this evening. And if you're over here on YouTube, I already put it in that caption section, in the comment section for you, and I'll put it in the description box. So let's go ahead and talk about really quickly your preliminary skills that you want to develop. And no, I won't be covering astral projection or anything like that in this series. And the reason why is not saying that the astral projection or astral travel isn't, useful for self-care or personal development. I do teach metaphysics here, but for a lot of people who are new here, I don't teach it for any other purpose other than self-care and personal development. That's just my specific approach. So I know a lot of people are into like star seeds and just a lot of other things. People want to make contact with the divine, or they want to make contact with God, or they want to explore those. You can certainly use these different states for a variety of purposes, but the only thing that I teach is self-care, personal development, goal achievement, productivity. And I love to use metaphysical practices in order to support this type of self-transformation. A lot of people do consider me like a spiritual coach. I do not call myself that. I do not consider myself that. I am someone who helps you learn how to achieve goals in your life, who helps you learn how to release blockages, mental blockages, so that you can live the life of your dreams, to have that type of well-being, to be able to develop habits that will support your well-being, and to let go of habits that are maybe self-sabotaging. So I don't cover astral projection or anything like that. Maybe in the future I will. And I know, Mary, you are in the dark art series. So maybe that'll be something that I do cover in the dark art series, because that's typically where I will cover more fringe topics. But in my workshops, public here, free workshops I don't really go into those types of things. But not saying that they don't exist, because they absolutely do exist. Not saying that they aren't valid, because they're completely valid. And I love astral projection. But I try to stick to, personal development. But thank you for the question. Thank you. So preliminary skills that you want to develop in the workbook. Let's see. Go ahead and scroll. So this is actually the second chapter. So key skills beginning your journey, and this begins on page 7. So if you have your workbook, Intro to Dream Work and Lucid Dreaming workbook, go ahead and scroll to page 7. The first thing that we definitely need to strengthen is our dream recall, and we're going to be talking about how to do that through dream journaling next Thursday at 7 p.m. I'm going to give you a deep dive into that. So that's definitely important. If you can't remember your dreams, you're not going to be able to do dream work. You're not going to be able to have a lucid dream. I mean, you could, but you're not going to remember that you had it. So, I mean, you're not going to be able to really work with it. So definitely developing dream recall is going to be at the very top of your list. We talked about the wake-centric perspective. It's getting dark out here. We talked about the wake-centric perspective. So the second thing that you really want to do is begin to really think about your intentions and what you want to get out of dream work and working with your dreams, and like learning how to lucid dream, because putting emphasis and value on this is going to shift your perspective from wake-centric to polycentric, and that's the next thing that you need to do. Also, developing a mindfulness meditation practice, and I talk about that a lot for stress relief, for self-care, as a way to relax and rest. But it's scientifically proven, and I will put links to some studies in the description box. Maybe over the next 1 or 2 days I will edit this and put more information in the description box for you. But it's scientifically proven those who practice mindfulness meditation have more lucid dreams. Mindfulness meditation, developing that capacity of mindfulness, is developing the capacity for lucidity. Practicing mindfulness meditation is learning how to become lucid in any state, and learning how to make contact with these more subtle states of mind, to become familiar with them. In Tibetan meditation, the word for meditation is gom, and gom means to become familiar with. What are you becoming familiar with through meditation? Increasingly subtle states of mind. You're learning how to recognize them. You're learning how to maintain those states and to be able to operate in it. And that's exactly what you would be doing in lucid dreaming. So those are the 3 skills that you want to write down that you definitely want to go ahead and develop. But that is the end of the information that I have for you all this evening. So I hope that you enjoyed this content. I didn't see many questions, but if you do have them, you can drop them in the comment section here over on YouTube. If you're over here on Instagram, you can feel free to send me a DM at any time. You already know how I do it, and I will answer those for you. You have those free resources in my in the description box, in the comment section over here on YouTube. The free dream work practice guide. Everybody should have that. There's no reason why you shouldn't have that. It's free 99, and it's going to contain the activities and exercises and guided practices that will help you develop those preliminary key components that you need. You have the link to the Dream Work and Lucid Dreaming Workbook. It's actually 2 of those, $22.22. If you're going to be following along over the next 3 to 4 months, support me. Please, you know, I'm not someone who won't ask. Support me in what I do. It is 20 bucks. It's cheaper than lunch. We're going to be working from that workbook. It contains all of the activities, exercises, information, links to guided practices, links to tutorials. I've loaded you up. I promise you are going to get your value for your $22, okay? And if you've made it this far in the workshop, then you can see I'm not even giving you any watered down information now. So if my free 99 information is good, what do you think you're going to get for $20, okay? So please go ahead and grab that workbook. I'm going to put the link over here in my link tree on Instagram this evening. Thank you so much, Sean Teacher. I appreciate it. And if you want to dive in deeper and you want to actually practice with me, then I do have Sacred Sunday Space and the Dark Art Self-Care Series. Mary over here, she knows about that. She's enrolled in the Dark Art Series. We had our first session of the month last night, and we go deeper than me teaching you. You see, right now I'm running my mouth, I'm teaching you a lot, but we actually practice in those groups. And we don't just practice for dream work, it's for self-care and stress relief, personal development, goal achievement. We do breath work, we do journaling, we do a lot of exploration, we do goal setting. I have workshops 2 to 4 times a month. They're private, they're through Zoom. Sometimes I even have private resources that I drop for you all in Patreon. So I try to really nurture those who are serious about what they're doing. And once again, everything I do is low cost. The workbook is 20 bucks. If you want to join Sacred Sunday Space or the Dark Arts Series, it starts at $15 for the entire month. Okay, for the entire month. So you're not breaking the bank here. But I'm going to go ahead and head out of here. If you all need anything, you know where to find me. Send any messages that you have. Send any questions that you have. If you're over here on YouTube and you're here live, do me a favor really quick and go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that like button before you get out of here. And I'm going to run, and you all have a wonderful